Hey guys, Tricky here. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up. The show's about to start, but we didn't get the Rarity update until late, so I didn't introduce you on the show. So after the outro music is when I'm going to put the Rarity update. Enjoy. Matt G says, Tenacious D bad, unsubbing.
Don't punish all of us for Tricky's ignorance.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, he's not even subbed now, so he doesn't have to unsub. He just has to not sub.
And I'm going to add this too. I'm going to say the most recent Jack Black song he's done is Peaches. I love that music video. It's hilarious.
That is horrible.
It doesn't matter.
Come on.
It's hilarious, and I love it.
Listen, I haven't seen the movie, but that music video is horrible.
Doesn't matter.
And the song is bad.
It doesn't matter. It's good. It's a good song. It's catchy. It is what it is.
It's not.
And the movie's great. Go watch the movie. It's really, really good.
You are listening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars, episode 569. I'm your host, Tricky Mick, alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
Why'd you gotta say it like that, Tricky?
I say it like that every single week.
Oh, no, you had more gusto behind that one.
Well, you kind of just pissed me off. He brings the awesome. It's how you
Whoa, pissed you off how? Because I'm like, I don't want to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning editing a podcast when I gotta work that day?
He brings the awesome. Let's not start with who's pissing off who. You'll say something.
Oh, Alex was still talking, so I didn't know if you officially introduced me or not. Hi!
I introduced you twice to try to move on. Returning from last week, it's my brother from another mother. He's my division clanmate. It's Tross. How you doing, sir?
Good. The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
Yeah, well, hopefully you're good with your audio this week after last week's edit.
I hope so, too. I'm sorry about all that.
Uh-huh. So
well, he dogged you so much, Tross, when he talked to me about it on the weekend. He's like, man, let me tell you about this. Pull up a chair and sit down. You're going to take a while.
Oh, yeah, trust me. I heard it.
Oh, no. Hold on. Let's clear the air here. First of all, I wasn't supposed to be here this week. That's number one. So I called Alex to say, hey, before you start, so you don't have a horrible edit, make sure Tross has all his stuff correct, because it made the edit last week very hard to do. That's what I said.
In your defense, right? I did a rookie mistake, and I was using my laptop microphone, and the song was coming from my Microsoft laptop speakers, so I think my laptop was picking up the sound, and it went nuts.
Yeah, so it was but hopefully we'll have the audio all together this week. Gentlemen, how you doing? Happy Star Wars launch day. Well, 2 days. I don't know. I gotta tell you, me and Yield both got the collector's edition. Luckily there was no horror story. They were delivered on the day of. The lightsaber, pretty good weight to it. I'm actually thinking about buying the blade for it now.
Well, that was my plan, was to buy the blade for it once I unboxed it.
Well, the other question is, where do we buy the blade from?
I don't know. I was going to deal with that when the time came.
I gotta figure out where we buy those from. I just googled something. Okay. But anyway, Alex, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. I have not started playing Jedi Survivor because, like Jedi Fallen Order, I will probably wait a while to play it because, yeah, I'm fine waiting on this one. You know, some games I want to play right away, and others I'll play down the road. This is just kind of one of those ones that I'm not interested enough in to jump in immediately.
And Tross, you are playing Jedi Survivor. We'll get into that in a minute, but how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. No complaints.
Poliseason's kicking your ass, huh?
Big time. So sorry for sniffles.
I just gotta give Tross some shit. But alright, let's do our updated trophy count. I am level 855, total trophies of 26,667. Missed it by one. Could have had all sixes. Platinum count of 727. Alex.
I am level 477 with a total trophy count of 8,669 and a platinum count of 143 and 142 games. For the first time since starting Resident Evil 4, I have added a platinum trophy to my trophy case, and it feels good again.
Yes, the game's a little questionable, but we won't go there.
It's not questionable at all.
I think it would be questionable in our inside of our community. Yield, what are your trophies, sir?
I don't think so.
Level 494 with a trophy count of 9445. Platinum count of 169.
There's a lot of 69s being rounded out, including Sid's count, which is level 831. Total trophies of 22,969 with a plat count of 716. Tross, how you doing, sir?
I am level 292 with a trophy count of 2633 with 8 platinums.
All right, let's get into what we're playing. We're going to start with that questionable game that Alex got the platinum in. Alex, tell us what you played, sir.
Well, after beating the shooting gallery in Resident Evil 4 and getting 86% of the trophies, I managed to peel myself away from that. I think I'm at a good stopping point as far as that game goes, at least for now. Who knows? Maybe in time I will go back to Mercenaries and try Mercenaries. But with Horizon Forbidden West, the Burning Shores coming out, I wanted to move on and be able to play new things. In between that, Resident Evil 4 and Horizon Burning Shores, I played the Untitled Goose Game, which is the platinum trophy that Tricky is talking about is questionable. Tricky, I will remark that according to Power PYX, the platinum trophy for Untitled Goose Game is harder to get than the one for Horizon Forbidden West. So, there you go. If you're going to call it a questionable game to play. Yes, it is a shorter game. There's only 4 areas in Untitled Goose Game. If you don't know what Untitled Goose Game is, it's a game you can play solo or in co-op. It's fun either way. Where you're a goose and you just go around this little village and you wreak havoc. There are certain tasks you have to do in all 4 areas, and you do all the tasks in one area and you move on to the next. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Basically, just cause mayhem and make people's life a living hell as a goose, honking at people and flapping your wings.
I'm not. Okay.
The difficult aspect of this platinum trophy, because there are time trials to each area, and you have to beat each area quickly, and you have to do each area and all the tasks within it in under 6 minutes. And yes, some of them are difficult. So just because this game is shorter and there's no combat, it's very puzzly. The puzzles and trying to figure out how to go about all the tasks is really where the difficulty is. But not a difficult game at all. But the time trials are difficult because the AI can be extremely frustrating, and a lot of it is luck based. So you're trying to do these time trials within 6 minutes and do all these tasks, and sometimes you just got to start over because the AI doesn't operate like it should. So I would say no, it's not a questionable game. And I got 3 points for it in the backlog beatdown, and it's a lot of fun. It's a game I've heard a lot about. People in memes and stuff like that. Ashley's kids have talked about in the past because they're always on YouTube. They're always within that culture. So it's a game that I heard about and I wanted to play, and it's on PlayStation Plus Extra. So I decided to, got myself the platinum trophy, and regardless of what Tricky says, I'm happy with it. I'm fine, and I've moved on to Burning Shores, which I know that Tross and Tricky said they had some trouble getting back into. Personally, I didn't. I mean, to me, it's a seamless transition because of course, I got the platinum last year around this time, and then I went back in August and played through ultra hard mode. So I've probably played the game more recently than they have, but in order to access the DLC, you have to beat the final mission of the game. So if you're halfway through a run, you got to go all the way to the end and finish the Singularity mission, and then you can access Burning Shores. So I was a little annoyed that I spent this money on this content that I then had to do. Granted, it was only 3 missions, but I had to go from Gemini to Singularity, and then I could access the Burning Shores after that. But that's kind of one thing. It's like, you're making me finish the end of the game, even though I've done it before, just to access the DLC. I thought Frozen Wilds, which you could access at a certain point within the story, but you didn't have to finish the story, was implemented a little bit better. But overall, it's more Horizon. It's a cool new setting. I've done 3 of the missions so far, 2 main and 1 side mission, but the new landscape is cool. It's in Los Angeles. There's a busted up airfield where you see the control tower, you see the the atrium where, the passengers kind of travel through, and then there's like a whole bunch of busted planes all throughout the water on islands. Like it's a really cool setting. So I've been enjoying it so far. The new machines are cool. There's 4 of them. I've only seen 3 of the 4, but I do like them so far. The bile gut, which is basically just a large heavyweight frog, is my favorite. Probably one of my favorite machines in all of Horizon now, because it's like a giant poison frog. It's super cool. I like it. So I've been enjoying that. The gameplay is the same as we saw in Horizon Forbidden West. So if you like the game, you'll enjoy the DLC. But yeah, I didn't have much trouble jumping back in, but also I've been playing the game, to get to the DLC over the last couple of days. So I had like a little bit of a buffer zone there to where I wasn't just jumping into the DLC. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
All right, Yield.
Let's see here. Come on, phone. Wake up. I've been playing some Diablo 3. Been playing some Rocket League. Did some World of Warship Legends. Did my Bureau, and it was Doubloon Week. Working on Ghost of a Tale. Hopped back on Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. Finished out the last remaining trophies that I hadn't got yet, so that game's 100%ed. Could have ripped off the backlog beatdown and gained some points, but I'm a fair person and didn't do that. And some Farming Simulator 19, and that's about it.
All right. Tross, what you been playing, sir?
You're not even going to ask me how I was going to rip them off. I figured you'd jump all over that. I threw you a strike and you just watched it.
Well,
so sad.
No. I didn't ask because I don't want people to accuse me of cheating.
No, why would they accuse you? I said I could have ripped off a couple of points, but I chose not to.
Because if I asked you and then you told me, then they could say, well, he's looking for tips to see how to cheat.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay.
Well, Tricky, you haven't submitted any games to the backlog beatdown this year.
And I won't. Although,
yeah, because you can't hang.
No, JT's trying to get me in. JT's been hard pressed to be on Facebook to get into the backlog. Tross, what have you been playing, sir?
Well, hold on. I'm interested then, because no one accuses me of cheating. Yield, sir. How are you going to wring a few extra points out of the competition?
So the trophies I was missing, up to this week, was beat the game on the last 2 hardest difficulties, which they stack if you beat it on the hardest, and kill 2,000 enemies. So the going talk on the internet is play the game on easy right as you kill the final boss, or shortly after you kill the final boss. Pause the game, set it to the hardest difficulty, unpause the game, finish killing them, watch credits roll, boom, trophy pops. I was like, wonder if I can save myself some time and just chapter jump. So because I hadn't ever started a new game yet, so last level, easy, went through it, did like I said, credits roll, trophies pop. I'm like, I could take a picture of that trophy and be like, Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, completion. But I didn't technically play it to completion, so I won't claim those points. Because I play fair.
Wait, you played to completion once, though, right?
I did, but that was like 3 years ago, so...
So you're saying you didn't get the trophy for beating the game that popped because you cheated and went to the last level?
No. I played the game on normal my first time through.
Okay.
Played through on normal, got that trophy and trophy for easy, and whatever other trophies I would have accumulated along the way. So
okay.
This year, as I've said, I've been trying to go back, DLC, games that I didn't finish trophies. You know what? Let's see if I can finish those trophies. So last week, I dabbled in a bunch of chapter trophies, where it was beat this chapter, not die. Beat this chapter with this gun only. So I did that last week. So I was down to just get 2,000 kills and beat it on the 2 hardest difficulties. And I'm like, So when I looked it up, they're like, play the game on easy all the way through and then do this. And I was like, well, you know what? I've got time. Let's just play the last level on easy and then bump it up to impossible and see if the trophies pop. If not, I'm out, 20, 30 minutes? So I did that, and the trophies popped. Ah, cool. I just saved me, 5-6 hours. Awesome.
Okay, so you did not play the game to completion from start to finish in 2023.
Correct. That's why I said
Okay.
I wasn't going to claim it, but I could have taken a picture of it and been like, look, played it to completion this year.
And nobody would have known.
And nobody would have known. But I don't play that way, so I didn't do it.
Fair enough. I'm not playing the game anyway, so it doesn't matter. Tross, what have you been playing, sir?
But it is a fun game.
I told you the name intrigued me.
It is. It's a kind of like a cartoonish mob zombie game. That's as far as I'm going to go.
The cannoli parts got me intrigued.
There's two of them. I haven't played the second one yet, but it's a side-scrolling mob game that you also deal with zombies. But I can't go into that because it'll kind of give away the story. So, but it's a goofy game. It's fun.
Huh, I want to check that out.
All right, before I let you go, Tross, I'm scrolling Facebook here real quick. Breaking news. A Little League organization in New Jersey has implemented a new rule. Any parent that argues with an umpire has to volunteer as an umpire for 3 games before being allowed back as a spectator.
I saw that pop up on Facebook. I think that's pretty funny.
I think it's hilarious.
That's great. Tross, what have you been playing?
Well, to go back to that whole kids and umpire thing, I'm actually am a coach, and that's the most annoying thing when parents argue, especially with me and the refs. So I'm glad that's actually happening. I'm not going to lie.
Well, this is only in New Jersey, so.
Well, I hope it becomes a United States thing. Playing wise. Wait, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, New Jersey's in the United States, but you mean just all over the U.S.
Yeah, like everywhere. As far as playing wise, been playing some Division 2, just helping Tricky, do his thing. Been playing some Rocket League with my buddy. Every now and then, been playing some, finishing up after Horizon, finishing up the missions, upgrading my weapons, playing that game. It's so nice going back to that game. I forgot how good Horizon was. And it's just really nice going back. That game is just so beautiful and so fun to play. So if any of you haven't picked it up, you gotta pick it up and play it. And of course, I've been playing Jedi Survivor, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed in. But I'm getting through it.
I figured Yield was gonna jump in there.
Well, see, so I got home Friday. Tricky, not quite all day, but a few times Friday. Have you got it yet? Have you got any emails that it's coming? I'm like, dude, I'm at work. I don't know. So I get home. Lo and behold, there's a package on my step. So I take a picture of it. As I am sending it to him, I get a text from Tricky. It's on my front doorstep. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm staring at mine. So I was busy Saturday night. It was my nephew's birthday. He wanted me to come hang out with him. So I package in the house, change, out the door I went to go hang out with my nephew. Didn't sleep well Saturday night, so kind of just wasn't in the mood to open it. It was kind of grouchy, grumpy. And then today was just kind of a chill day, and I was just like, I'm trying to get Ghost of a Tale done, and I was jumped into some Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday I'll open it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I just figured you were going to jump in with the him saying it's not that good.
Well, hold on. It's still a good game. Let me rephrase. I'm getting the whole Last of Us Part 2 vibes, right? Where the gameplay, everything, the navigation, the climbing, everything is top notch. The graphics, everything, right? It's way improved from the first one. Where I'm getting very disappointed is, for one, the performance is very bad. When it's in big open areas, which most of the game is part of, the frame rates are so bad. If you're in performance mode, it'll drop down to 45, 40, sometimes even 30 frames. It's so bad.
I left a tip for you in the Trophy Goes group.
that did work for a little bit, but then as soon as I went to the big open area, it cut out. And it's such a shame because the very first, and this isn't a spoiler, but the very first level is a big open area. So right off the bat, there's a lot going on, and it's just, and the frame rate's tank. So you're today I was playing it and I was in a boss fight, and it dipped down to like 20 frames per second. And I was like, all right, this is fun. And the story is just not as grabbing me as much as the first one was. But that's just my opinion. I think I'm about halfway through, and it's starting to pick up a little bit. So I'm hoping that the more I play into it, it's going to get a lot better. But the combat, the bosses, the navigation, the looking for collectibles, customization for one, they improved so much more.
Let me ask you, Tross. You said that you're about halfway in and it's starting to pick up, which is not really where you want a game to pick up. You want it to pick up much sooner. One of my issues with Jedi Fallen Order is that early on in the game, you were like doing a lot of tomb raiding. So it didn't necessarily feel like Star Wars. And I didn't really feel like Star Wars until I got to Kashyyyk, which was maybe not halfway through the game, but it was a decent chunk into the game. Do they actually, from the start, make you feel like you're in a Star Wars game, or is it more like of these weird settings you wouldn't normally find at Jedi?
So the very first level is a very famous Star Wars planet. And I don't want to spoil it because I don't know if it is a spoiler, if they've announced it yet. But yes, from the get-go, you feel like a Jedi. You're there, it's a planet that's in the movies, and you're just like, alright, this is pretty sweet. Do they still have the tomb raiding? Yeah, it goes back to the tomb raiding very quick. And that's where I feel like the story's dragging. It's just, something happens, and you're like, okay, cool, he's doing his thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, alright, now where do we go from here? And they're kind of like dragging their feet a little bit, and then it's just, now you find out who the bad, like halfway through, or quarter way through, you find out who the bad guy is, and it's just like, alright. You kind of go through, like right now I just feel like I'm kind of just going through the paces just to get through the story, and I'm just like, I don't know where this is going. So I'm hoping it's going to pick up very soon.
All right, Matt G, you're about to feel better. He wants to know, what are you playing Jedi on, Tross?
Difficulty-wise? Or PS5? Like console?
PS5.
Yeah, PS5.
Yeah.
But I hear PC is...
I think it's PS5 only. You can't get it for the 4.
No, but you could play it on PC, and that's where a lot of people are having problems with frame rates and performance issues.
And my buddy's playing on PC, and he says it's unplayable. He can't play it.
Yeah, so I have a feeling Matt G's asking that because he wants to feel better that it's not just happened to him on PC. That he can say all consoles are doing it too.
Yeah, consoles are doing it too. It's not as bad. I'll say it's not as bad as PC, but it's still having some issues for sure.
Yeah, he says he's surprised frame rates are on the PS5.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm just gonna put this out there. I have a physical copy of Jedi Survivor. If you want it, let me know. I'll sell it to you for $60. I can't seem to get rid of this thing, so I want to buy it digitally. I don't want it physical. If you want it, just message me and I will send it to you for. I'll even pay for the shipping to send it to you. $10 cheaper, $60. Okay. And what have I been playing? I've been playing Division 2. I finished up all my global event things. Tross was helping me last night, but I had 3 more bounties to do. I did those this morning because Holly woke me up bright and early, as puppies do. I've been playing. I finished up all the trophies in Burning Shores, so that's good. Got all those. All I gotta do now is go through New Game Plus because apparently Nitro, wants me to go through New Game Plus now. And I've been playing Gotham Knights because they just released a DLC, which I didn't even know came out. They added another 15 floors to a challenge mode that you can get legendary equipment on. So I'm going through my New Game Plus to get back to all the villains so I can do those challenges and do the floors. So I've been doing that all day. Matchy says he's not playing it at all. He's just surprised. Yeah, consoles can get frame rate drops as well. All right, so let's get into our topics. Our first topic here is the PlayStation Plus games for May have been announced. We're going to be getting Grid Legends, which is a 2022 racing title from Codemasters. We're going to be getting Chivalry 2, and we're going to get Descenders. Any of these games interest any of you gentlemen?
No.
Well, I mean, the only one that I can think of that might interest Yield is Grid because he does like the Codemasters racing games. But
maybe
I'm thinking of Dirt.
The trailer.
Maybe I'm thinking Dirt. I don't know, but Yield likes his racing games, so that might be one for him.
Isn't Grid Legends? And I'm clicking on a link right now to answer my own questions. Isn't that like an F1 type game, or is that actually like other cars?
No, I think it's other cars.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, apologize. For some reason I was thinking Grid Masters was like F1. So yeah, those are your PlayStation Plus games. You're gonna be able to download all of the current games up until tomorrow, as if you're listening to this live. But if you listen to this on Wednesday, you can't download them anymore, and the new game should be out.
Yeah, I still got to play Tales of Iron, so that's from this past month. So that's probably what is going to occupy my time here real soon.
Well, a lot of people are being occupied playing on the PS5 because the story coming from IGN, written by Ryan Zinsdale. Sony's PlayStation 5 has just wrapped its best year on the market so far and has crossed the 38 million units sold as a result. Revealed in Sony's latest financial earnings report, the PlayStation 5 sold 6.3 million units in the fourth quarter of the financial year for 2022 and 23. This was more than 3 times stronger than its sales in Q4 the previous year, where it only sold 2 million units. Having sold 32.1 million units as of the end of Q3, the PS5 has now reached 38.4 million units sold. Sony has sold nearly as many units in the financial year as it had prior to that point, rounding out the year with 19.1 million consoles sold compared to the 19.3 million sold beforehand. The 6.3 million fourth quarter wasn't its strongest, however, as 7.1 million PlayStation 5 consoles were sold in Q3. This is a fairly regular trend, however, as Q3 includes the holiday period, which usually leads to significant sales boost for video game hardware. So I'm going to leave that to you guys, gentlemen, before I go on to the next part of this topic.
I mean, the problem is always getting enough consoles out there to meet demand. If Sony can get them out there, they will sell them because people want PlayStation 5. So, you know, the obviously the Switch has impressive numbers. I think it's crossed over 100 million sold, but it's also been out longer, and, you know, the audience for who's going to play that obviously isn't as big as the people who can then go on from the PS4 to the PS5. So it's only been a matter of, can Sony get them out there to people, and can people find them in the stores? So, which, I mean, still, I've never seen them in like a Target or anywhere. I saw the God of War bundles at GameStop, but I haven't seen any since. So, you know, maybe they're getting more out, but it's still not perfect. So it may be another year before you start seeing PlayStation 5s in the wild proper, and, you know, those numbers truly go up. But I don't think there's any question that people want the PlayStation 5.
Well, Sony's hoping that because, according to another article from Ryan Dinsdale over at IGN, Sony has high hopes for the PS5 in the current financial year as it aims to break PlayStation records by selling 25 million units. The company briefly mentioned its goals for the next year during its latest earnings report, where it revealed that the PlayStation 5 had now sold 38 million units. The 19.1 million sold in the financial year weren't enough, though. Quote, "We aim to continuously accelerate penetration of the PS5 and aim for PS5 sell-in units for the current fiscal year to be about 25 million units, the highest ever for any PlayStation console in history." End quote. It certainly would be an impressive figure because, as mentioned, no PlayStation console in history has sold so many units in a single financial year, not even the PS2, which has the best-selling console of all time with 159 million units sold. So, that was the other part of that article. Yield your comments on 38 million consoles sold already.
I mean, I guess it's kind of surprising considering they've had so much trouble getting them out. But, I mean, looking to break records by selling more consoles this year, well, there's already proof that there are some out in the wild, so that's kind of a no-brainer, I want to say. But that's really about it. Anymore, when people are pumping sales numbers, I just kind of roll my eyes and...
Well, I'll put this out there. if you've sold 38 million and the PlayStation 5's been out for what, 2.5 years now?
Something like that.
If you sold 38 million to date and you're looking to sell 25 million in just 1 year, that's a pretty ambitious goal. And maybe Sony's saying, well, now that we got the chips out there, we can actually sell more. But you're looking to, and I know this is not exact, but you're looking to basically double your numbers in 1 year for what you've done in the past 2.5 years. That's a big ass goal. Tross, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not really surprised that they sold this many. Because here in Atlanta, I see them everywhere. Like, I go to my Best Buy, they have like 50 PlayStation 5s just sitting there ready to be sold. And the other day, like, actually this weekend, I saw two guys walk out of Target with a PS5. So, I mean, they're out there, they're there. But I think getting 25 million in a year, that's a stretch. That's a big stretch.
Yeah. That's a huge goal right there.
Yeah, but I mean, look at how many consoles all like the PlayStations have sold like over the course of generations. I don't think anything has been below 80 million. I think the PS3 is the one that sold the least. Well, I can't remember if it was the PS1 or the PS3, but I mean, they easily top 80 million. So this being a console that has access to a greater library and PlayStation Plus built in, and the graphical capability, and it's a really powerful console. I mean, 25 million, could they do it? Yeah. You just got to get them out there. I think the demand is there because obviously there are far more people who bought PlayStation 4s who would likely graduate to a PS5. You got to get them out there.
All right, just throw the numbers out there. The PS2 sold 155 million. The PlayStation 4 sold 117 million. The original PlayStation sold 102 million, and the PlayStation 3 sold 87 million.
Yeah, so the lowest one almost cleared. Was halfway. To 90 million. So, and everything else has gone over 100 million. So they're sitting at 38 million right now. I don't think the 25 million is not feasible. I think it's completely feasible.
25 million
in just a year. In a year.
Wow. Yeah. I listen. I don't want to say it's not possible, but I don't think it's likely.
Well, you got. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. I was gonna say 20. As I pointed out earlier, it's like. They've only sold 38 million to date, and that's in 2.5 years. Now, granted, but
that's severe issues with, and if you're saying 2.5 years, I mean, I'm not going to do the math on that because I'm not good at math. But given the full capability to blast out as many PS5s as you can with better component supply, like they've obviously been hindered, and it's why there's so many of their PS5 exclusives had to go to the PS4 as well. Is because they just couldn't get the consoles out there. So, I mean, that you can't use the first 2.5 years as any kind of way to tell how well the console's going to sell in the next year because it's just supply has just been so constrained.
Plus, you got to look at the games too. When the PS5 first came out, you had Miles Morales that came out, and then of course they started growing when you had Elden Ring came out, so maybe a little bit more sales, and then Horizon, and then God of War. But if you look at this year. I mean, you got Final Fantasy 16 coming out. You got Street Fighter 6 coming out. You got rumors that maybe Spider-Man 2 is going to come out this year. So I think they might hit it, or they might get close to it, just because of the games that are going to come out this year. Because once they see those games, people are going to want to buy the console for sure.
And let's not forget that Homer, Yield's brother, did upgrade to a PS5 on part because of something like Final Fantasy 16. So.
All right, well, I'm going to put a pin in this now because I think when we get to one of our various topics of the week, you guys might be changing your tune just a little bit. But before we do that, let's go on to our next article coming from Anthony Wood over at IGN. Horizon Forbidden West sequel seemingly on its way as Guerrilla confirms, quote, Aloy's next adventure.
That is one of the dumbest newses to come out this week.
Oh, this is the topic you were talking about, you.
This is the topic that I was talking about.
All right, so you're going to have the floor first after I finished.
All right.
Guerrilla Games appears to have quietly announced a Horizon Forbidden West sequel while detailing a management reshuffle on its website. Quote, we have full confidence in our new leadership as they steer Guerrilla towards a bright future, expanding the world of Horizon with Aloy's next adventure and our exciting online project, end quote. Reddit post spotted by Eurogamer announcing the departure of veteran studio director Angie Smets. Smets has been promoted to the head of development strategy at PlayStation Studios following a nearly 20-year stint at Guerrilla Games. Future Horizon games will now be developed under the leadership of co-studio directors Joel Escher, Hella Schmidt, and John Bart Van Beek. As for the sequel, Guerrilla Games creative director... Whoa, an ad just popped up. As for the sequel, Guerrilla Games creative director Mathis De Jong had previously alluded to the potential trilogy by stating that the events of Horizon Forbidden West, including its, quote, cliffhanger ending, had set up some key plot points for a possible third game. Quote, Horizon is really about mystery. Each of our stories has been about uncovering mysteries in both the New World and the present day when the game takes place. Indeed, there is plenty of backstory that we can tap into to develop new storylines and create new mysteries from what we've already established. I'm going to stop right there. Yield, the floor is yours.
So, it's either a really slow news day or people are really dumb. Because, they may have dropped, as you said in there, they may have dropped a little hint that there was going to be a sequel. Did you not play to the end of Forbidden West? I'm sorry, just like with the first game. It could have ended, but the door was open for a sequel. This game, the door was pretty wide open. I mean, you could have driven a truck through it. Look, we're going to do a sequel, or at least we're set up for a sequel. So this is like clickbait news to me. I'm sorry.
Yield.
We knew they were doing a sequel.
Can I play devil's advocate for you a second?
Well, you will always play devil's advocate, but I probably won't listen.
No. I just want to make one point, and I'm sure Alice would make the same point. We did have a cliffhanger on Sly Cooper, and we never got that game.
We have, and we have not.
So just because they left it on the cliffhanger does not necessarily mean we're getting the third game.
That is true, but this is the second game.
Everybody knows we're getting the third game.
The fourth game of a series, and it took them how many years to get to the fourth game? You're right, but I'm just like, that's just...
Well, everybody knows we're getting another Horizon game.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
because they launched the VR2 with a Horizon game. We're getting a third main console game.
Yeah.
Alex, the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, don't forget, we still don't have complete confirmation that we're getting another Ghost of Tsushima, even though hints have been dropped in, like, hiring posts and positions and stuff like that by Sucker Punch. It's nice to have confirmation. I mean, let's be real. We still don't know what Naughty Dog's going to do when another Last of Us game would seem like the best idea, given the fact that they have the TV show and they're going to do a second season of that, and that obviously can bleed into that. But the fact that people weren't satisfied with the end of Last of Us Part 2, or at least one more after that, but we still don't know if we're getting more of The Last of Us. So Sony Studios do have a little bit more say or pull with Sony than maybe other game studios, because they are such powerhouses in the game industry. They get to choose more of what they're going to do and the directions they're going to head in. So, look, massive cliffhanger ending, and I haven't played to the end of Burning Shores, but I'm assuming it's going to leave us in the same kind of place and set up a third game. I think we all knew it was coming, but I don't mind confirmation. Confirmation is good, so yeah. It's fine to talk about the news. I don't care. But for anybody who maybe hasn't bought a PlayStation in a couple of generations, maybe knowing that they're going to round out to a trilogy, and you haven't played the games, maybe knowing that, and especially we talked about a potential remake for the original Horizon that might be in the works. Somebody may go back and play all three games in a row, and maybe the PlayStation 5 is the first PlayStation they're going to buy in a while or in a couple of generations, and having confirmation of the story being a triple arc or a trilogy is something they need to know. I don't know.
All right, Tross.
I'm with Yield. I feel like it was a giant, wide open, obvious point that they're going to be a sequel, but at the same time, I see y'all's argument as well about it's good to hear them that it's actually going to happen.
But to be honest, it hasn't even been confirmed. They're just saying future for Aloy's next adventure. That doesn't necessarily confirm a third game.
Well, I'll tell you this: Sony's is going to want the money. Let's be honest.
Right.
Horizon makes tons of money for Sony. They're going to make a third game.
Well, I mean, he could have been referring to the online multiplayer game.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I'm. Let's just be there. Like, now, granted, the author of this article, and I'm not knocking him at all. He is a freelance contributor, so he doesn't actually work for IGN. You know, this could just been IGN saying, "Oh, let's put this article up." I tend to agree with Yield as well. Like, this was like a pretty dull article, but nothing's technically been confirmed. Let's just be real about that.
Well, it must be really. Oh, go ahead, Yield.
I was gonna say this is something that you put out next year, or well, game's been out for a year, so it feels like this is something that you sprinkle like next year, or maybe later the year, first of next year, you know, to kind of just keep the interest going. It feels really duh at this point when the DLC just dropped and we're going to go, hey, it sounds like they're going to make another game. Well, yeah. But I do agree with Alex, so it's nice to hear that it sounds like they're going to make another game.
Well, and I can't believe that, you know, studios and the platform holders, they probably drop this crumb in there because they know people are going to pick up on it, and then it'll hit all the blogs and it'll hit IGN. Because, yeah, IGN, like a lot of the news reporting on those kind of sites these days is just short, small posts updating you on certain things. Sometimes they do have interviews, sometimes they do have hands-on stuff with games, so there can be longer stuff too. But a lot of the news is stuff like this, just small little chunks. And it's a way for Sony to market stuff and have people excited to play the PlayStation 5 or own a PlayStation 5 in the future that, hey, there's more Horizon coming. So I have no doubt that they do stuff like this on purpose. And the job postings, like, well, I mean, obviously they have to have that to entice talent to come to their team, but also they put this stuff out there willingly knowing it's going to be picked up and people are, you know, because people have magnifying glasses on this kind of thing. And if we're going to talk about duh news, how much of that is video game news these days at all and in general? I mean,
A lot.
Yeah, so this one particular story may just be another one to throw in the pot, but I mean, it's just kind of so much of what we deal with and sift through on a daily basis.
All right. Let's move on to our... Okay, now, to be clear here, I put the agenda together, and the next 5 topics I think are all worthy of topic of the week. Yield expressed his concern, like, we got too much. So... we may cut some of these just for time. But I think this is a topic of the week worthy. But this is coming from PCGamer.com and written by Andy Chalk. Sony confirms more PC ports are coming because it's making a ton of money. The Last of Us Part 1 on PC has not gone well, to put it mildly. Eyebrows Joel was fun for a while, but it's been a month now, and Naughty Dog is struggling to get it right. Sony's overall strategy of putting out more of its first-party games on PC, on the other hand, seems to be going very well indeed. The sign of Sony's health... Why did you put an ad? I can't stand ads right now. The sign of Sony's healthy PC strategy emerged from the company's fiscal year 2022 financial report. Under the others category in the games and networks segment, the document defines others as revenue from peripherals, including PlayStation VR, and revenue from sales from first-party titles on the platforms other than PlayStation consoles. And the number over the past 2 fiscal years are pretty remarkable. I'm not going to go into all the numbers, and I'm not going to go on with the article, but it seems that Sony is making a lot of money from porting these over to PC. So my question to you, gentlemen, is we obviously know that Sony was going to port more of their games over to PC. How do you generally feel about what we would, quote-unquote, define as our exclusives now going out to PC players? Tross, I'll start with you.
I'm fine with it. I'm 100% fine with it. Because it gets the game more into people's hands, you know? Which gives more money to Sony to produce even bigger and better games. So I'm 100% for it. I was a little upset because my buddy's a PC gamer. And he couldn't play Spider-Man. Well, now he can. He couldn't play God of War. Now he can. Last of Us. Now he can. So, it's just, again, it's providing what's the word? More accessibility for gamers, which is great.
All right, Yield?
Alex has always said that if it makes money, Sony's going to do it. And obviously that this is. We no longer live in the time of, when we were growing up that an exclusive wasn't exclusive. Most everything now is a timed exclusive. So, I mean, it doesn't overly bother me. We got our quote-unquote exclusivity out of it. So, if Sony or the devs want to put time into making it work on a PC, I mean, more power to them.
All right, Alex?
Yeah, I think that if Sony can make more money and reinvest it into their development teams, into purchasing new studios, into making new games, or even sequels, like, that's a good thing. So I've always wanted, and I want Sony to focus on their core market. And I say that I don't want them to deal with PSVR or handhelds because I don't necessarily know that that's making them money. It seems like more of a hardship for them to have to deal with. Like, yeah, I can bring in extra money, but also having to support the core PlayStation 5 alongside these other things. I mean, yeah, Sony's building a pretty awesome, group of studios, but at the same time, there are people that recently have complained that they don't know what's coming on the PS5 beyond Wolverine, beyond Spider-Man, and these other things. And so you have people who are already ripples of people complaining that maybe we don't have enough games for the PlayStation 5. And I think that if you just refocus on that and stop messing around with VR and stop messing around with handhelds, which they're purported to be making another handheld, you can do that. And the PC can be a core part of their business, and there's still a way they can support the PS5. They've already made these games on the PS5, porting them over to the PC, which they have studios that have expertise in that. Shouldn't be that hard for them. So it's not like they're devoting, their company time or labor to making VR games, which, at some point may be playable on the 5, but probably not without a headset. So focus on your core business, and whatever can get money to that, I'm great with. I don't care about exclusivity because I don't see, some people say that, the Switch is not in competition with the Xbox or the PlayStation, which I disagree with because you still you need to devote your time into money into playing video games on the Switch, which you can't then do on the 5 or the Xbox Series X or S. So I do see this competition, but I see in the same vein of that argument, I see PC as a different market than consoles. So when people say that, it's on Xbox plus PC, I still see it as Xbox exclusive because it's not coming to Switch or PlayStation. That's where it really matters. I don't see PC as taking away exclusivity from the PlayStation owners. And maybe people listen to that and think that's stupid, but if you're going to say that the Switch isn't the same market, I'm definitely saying that the PC isn't the same market because there's an accessibility to owning a console and just plugging it in that most people want. It's more mainstream than PC. I'm not saying PC is a bad way to play, but home consoles are a more mainstream way to play, and it's an easier way and more accessible to, get into a generation of games and just play what you want. You don't have to update the console all that much, or, never if you don't want until the next generation of consoles, whereas PC, there's maintenance with that. So I don't see this as taking away exclusivity from PlayStation owners because I don't see the PC market as the same thing as the home console market. But
all right, so let me pose this question to you, gentlemen, then. Is it potentially damaging to Sony products because, The Last of Us has been broken for the last month? Is it possible that by releasing these games that work so well on the PS5 that are now broken on the PC, is that possibly damaging Sony's reputation or these games' reputation?
Well, but hold on. How many of them have been damaged? How many of them have, outside of The Last of Us, how many of them had been botched launched on
There's been
PC?
There's been a few of them. I can't tell you every single one, and I can't tell you exactly what was wrong with them. If it was frame rate issues, it just didn't work. But I've heard numerous stories of these Sony games going to the PC and then upon launch was broken. I'm not talking like Cyberpunk broken, but they were broken to the point where some of them were just unplayable.
Well, I mean, we just talked about Jedi Survivor, where Tross said it's unplayable on the PC. So it's not just Sony games, it's a lot of the games on the... There's going to be always going to be something for that, because like Sony games run well on the PS5 because those are own studios' proprietary games, and they have the architect of the PS5 on staff. So anytime you go outside of that, yeah, you might have a little trouble. But it's not just Sony that has issues on PC, and it's not, and you see like studios like EA and other game companies. Sometimes the game Bethesda, sometimes the games they put out on consoles are janky and broken, and they need to be fixed. So if every Sony game that comes out on PC is broken, will that undermine people's confidence in Sony? Well, not on the console owner side. No, but on the PC side, yeah, you'll probably see people not be willing to buy their games. But for the most part, it seems like a good number of their launches have gone smoothly. Unfortunately, not The Last of Us Part 1, but if it keeps happening, then yes, it'll hurt PC owners' confidence in Sony. But if they can get The Last of Us Part 1 straightened out and then just keep releasing these games, ported to PC, and they can run smoothly, then they'll be fine. They just can't have everyone be broken. Or, half of them be broken. So, yeah, they need to be careful of that. But I think Sony's smart enough to see how much money they're making and to make sure that doesn't happen. Even if they have to buy more studios that have expertise in porting to PC from console.
All right, Matt G in the chat says, most Sony-owned IP launching on PC have been broken at launch, but they fixed them and they're still great games. So, apparently I wasn't the only one who heard that. But, do you think it hurts the reputation of them coming out broken?
It hurts. I would say it hurts their reputation on PC. It doesn't hurt their overall reputation because people are still buying their games when they come out. What you do is you hurt your PC market if you keep releasing broke games because, we're not feeling it on console, so, my game ain't broke, it don't bother me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
But if you're a PC guy and you're waiting for Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, and it releases broke, the next Sony game that comes to PC, you're probably like, yeah, I'm not even dealing with it.
Or you'll just wait until the patches come out and they fix it.
Yeah, and you'll buy it later. So that's what it hurts. It won't. I don't think it'll hurt the overall because to me, the bulk of their money is from us, the console guys. Or the console gamers, I shouldn't say the guys, but the console gamers. So they're dabbling in a different market for more money. So if you release broke games in that market, that's your reputation you hurt.
And we'll get Tross's opinion after I just do this one last thing. You got to remember that they're releasing these games on PC a year after. It was some cases more than a year, but their plan going forward is to release them a year after they come out on PS5. So as a PS5 owner, what do you really need more than a year of exclusivity? Once I've played it, once I've been able to play it first off, I don't care who else gets to play it. It doesn't really matter to me. Tross, sir, your thoughts?
You guys bring up very good points. I got really nothing else to add except just how sad it is that us as gamers have to just accept broken games, you know what I mean?
That is a problem.
Agreed.
Nowadays.
It's a problem, and it sucks for the PC gamers because, like my buddy, he wants to play these games, but he's like, I'm just going to wait until they fix it. It's going to be broke when it comes out. I'll wait like a month or two until they fix it, And that's just sad, But I don't, like Yield said, it's just going to hurt the PC reputation because if I was playing it on Steam and they release it, it's like, well, it's going to be broken. Then the next PlayStation game comes out, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant to grab it, So I think they're just hurting the PC market, not necessarily the console market. And like what Alex said, I don't really need... It's cool to have the exclusivity, but, after a year, it doesn't really matter anymore. Once it's out,
I'm trying to find the tweet from Respawn, because Respawn put out a thing about it being broken at launch. Here we go. This is coming from EA Star Wars on Twitter. We are aware the PlayStation. We are aware the Star Wars Jedi Survivor isn't performing to our standards for a certain percentage of our PC players, in particular those with high-end machines or certain configurations. For example, Players using cutting-edge multi-threaded chipsets designed for Windows 11 were encountering problems on Windows 10 or high-end GPUs coupled with lower performance CPUs also saw unexpected frame loss. Rest assured, we're working to address these cases quickly. While there is no single comprehensive fix for PC performance, the team has been working on fixes we believe will improve performance across the spectrum of configurations. We are committed to fixing these issues as soon as possible, but each patch requires significant testing to ensure that we don't introduce new problems. Thanks for understanding and apologies to our players for experiencing these issues. We will continue to monitor performance across all platforms and share update timing as soon as it's available. The Star Wars Jedi team.
And that's just sad because PCs, I don't own one, but I know they can sometimes be double, even triple the cost of a console. And these people pay a lot of money to have really good machines. And then it sounds like to me, he's blaming that people have really good hardware. That's why it's not
right.
Working.
That's why I wanted to bring it up because it says, in particular with those with high-end machines. I'm like, so I spent thousands of dollars to make sure my system was able to run your game, and now you're telling me that you developed your game in a way that my high-end rig, which should have no issues, can't run your game. So you're saying, oh, well, those guys with the mid-tier gaming PCs can run it just fine. It's the ones that, spent the extra money. I think that's still a shitty statement.
You know what that tells me?
Don't buy a PC?
No, well, besides that. What that tells me is that they didn't test for that. The bulk of their testing was consoles.
Okay.
Maybe your average computer, they didn't either anticipate or test for that.
All right, to be fair, and I'm not trying to be a PC apologist here, because you guys know I don't like, I don't like PC gaming. There is, I will give EA and Respawn some credit on this in saying that there is no real way to test for every possible PC configuration out there. I may have an AMD processor, I may have another processor, I may have this graphics card with this amount of memory, blah, blah, blah. There's so many different combinations of people, and the PC gaming community, they're known for building their own PCs. They don't go out and get pre-configured ones. So this is...
They piece together their own rig.
Right. So I will give EA and Respawn the credit here and say there's no possible way for the test for everything. But in your statement, when you're coming out and saying, we know you spent thousands of dollars to make your rig, and now you can't play our game because it's too powerful, that to me is a shitty thing to say.
Yeah, and plus, this is a huge franchise. It's Star Wars, for God's sake. There's millions upon millions of fans. People were really looking forward to this game. And the first one was such a major success. And I thought it was. It was a great game. And people were really looking forward to this game. Like my buddy, I reference him a lot. He was like, this is going to be game of the year. It's going to be so good, blah, 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 blah. And now he can't even play it. And he's so pissed off, So now when they make Jedi 3, I don't know if they're going to make a third one. I don't know. It's going to do like what the whole CG Projekt Red thing did with Cyberpunk. People are going to be a little bit more hesitant to go out and, buy the game. And it's just, I don't know. There shouldn't be an excuse for this anymore. There just shouldn't be.
Matt G in the chat says, stop pre-ordering games is the best way to send the message. He also says, Respawn was a trusted dev with no prior bad performance. The fact that Jedi is busted on PS5 as well as PCs shows they needed more time to polish and test. Absolutely agree. All right. At this time, we are going to throw it to our listener questions.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right. I'm going to step away to get something to drink. So I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to walk away. Matt G wants to know, what is your favorite trophy for 2023 so far? We'll start the round table with Alex.
Wait, hold on. What do we mean the favorite trophy? Just pick one trophy out of all the ones you've earned and...
Well, Matt G is in the chat. Matt G, if you want to clarify real quick, what do you mean by your favorite trophy? Are you talking about just overall trophy? You talking about platinum? What are you talking about? While we wait for his answer, does anybody know the Jeopardy music?
Do 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 do.
Matt G comes back and says, yes, what has been your favorite trophy?
Like it's just general.
There's a lot to sift through there. If anybody else has one, I'm gonna pick one from Weird West because I really enjoyed that game, but I don't necessarily have one. I don't want to just say the platinum because that game did have some very unique trophies, a very very hilarious trophies. So Yield, if you got one, go ahead.
I would say that from this year, my favorite trophy has been Protein in Deep Rock Galactic, getting all of my dwarves to silver tier. So that was kind of a nice milestone to hit at the start of the year, and I'm hoping to, by the end of the year, get them all to gold and have the platinum. So, but off the top of my head, I would say that one. I'd have to scroll through all the trophies I've earned this year to see which one I would be like, that's good, or all the trophies, period. There have been quite a few of the whimsical ones that, like, some of the ones from Guardians of the Galaxy that were song titles. Those were pretty cool. Yeah, this year, Protein.
All right, I got one here. So just to kind of give you a little background on Weird West and some of the trophies, one of them is called Revenant. It said start a fight with a bear while drunk and win. Obviously a reference to the movie The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio. There's also one said I kicked a bird and I liked it. A play on I kissed a girl and I liked it. Kick a flying vulture. But my favorite one is called from Weird West. It's just a bronze trophy. It's very easy to get. It's called Here Comes Santa Claus, and the requirement is break into a building through the chimney. And one of my favorite things to do in Weird West was at night, like, break into buildings. Because, like, obviously, you know, you can eat, like, by breaking into buildings and, like, dealing with, you know, law enforcement that's in the building, or being sneaky about it, you know, going through the chimney, you can get some of the most expensive, best weapons, best, you know, outfits, best items, stuff like that, and then resell them to make a lot of money really quickly. So going through the chimney or like just breaking into establishments at night, in real life, I'm not, you know, saying you should do that. I don't endorse that at all. But within the game, it was a lot of fun to do. So I really enjoyed that trophy because like just going into a chimney at night, dropping down, grabbing some items, and then reselling it to the person the next day was I always got a kick out of that. So that's my favorite. Tross, do you have one that you could think of?
For this year, it's one from Rocket League. I think it's called Turtle. Because I'm really bad at Rocket League, but I somehow got this. It's where you hit the ball with the back of your car, and you score a goal in the map called Aquarium. I don't know how I did it. It just randomly happened. And yeah, it was really fun. That's my favorite one so far this year.
Yield?
I said mine before Alex did.
I apologize. I just came back. I'm going to give a real goofy answer. Just say my next one.
Oh, come on.
No, come on.
Put some thought into it.
All right.
So Tricky, basically what Tricky is saying is that he's played so much spam this year that he doesn't have a favorite one because
that's exactly what I'm saying.
What about one from the Burning Shores? Was there a particular one from Burning Shores you really liked?
Not really, because I to be honest, like I never really pay attention to trophy. Maggie says, to be fair, I did expect a good answer from Tricky the Spam Master. I don't really look at the names. I mean, the only trophy, and I've yet to earn it, that I found funny was from the Deadpool Platinum. It says, okay, now you can sell the game.
Oh, you never got the Deadpool Platinum?
I never got the Deadpool Platinum.
Oh, that game. Oh, yeah, that game had a lot of good trophy names for it.
Yeah, but Tricky, you don't pay attention to the trophy names. Sometimes there's references and like callbacks in there, and like they specifically like get clever with it to try and like, you know, make you laugh or make you smile, and you're not sitting here paying attention.
I know, but I most times I'm just I'm just moving on.
Well, that's what happens when you play a game for 5 seconds and get all the trophies. I guess that's the point, is that when you earn 50 trophies in 5 seconds, you can't really pay attention to what they're about or what the description or what the title is. Yeah, I'll give an answer for Tricky from the Burning Shores. There's one trophy that you got to kill 5 bile guts, which I mentioned earlier in the show, and then 50 stink spawns. And what's cool about that is I think it's the first machines that work in tandem, because the stink spawns are like little like mosquitoes or bees or something, and they actually are produced by the bile gut. So when you fight the bile gut, you also have to deal with the sting spawns, and they're kind of a tandem there. So I like that. That's cool. And I like get credit for beating the machines, because I'll say this right now: Horizon as a series has the best enemies of any video game ever made. I'm not saying bosses, because I don't really think they have final bosses, yeah, but I think that the enemies, like the machines, are cooler than any enemies in any other game.
Agreed.
And they continue to prove that with Burning Shores. But I thought that was a cool trophy.
All right. The next question comes from Yield. Yield wants to know, what song do you like because of the music video? David Bray on the post says Thriller by Michael Jackson. So Yield will go to you last, because I'm sure you had something in mind when you asked the question. We'll go to Tross first. What song do you like because of the music video?
Ooh. I like Tribute by Tenacious D. Because they're just in like a phone booth singing a song about the best song in the world. I love Tenacious D.
Horrible band.
Love them.
I don't know if you can be on this show anymore.
Look, I like Jack Black, but I think he makes the most horrible music in the world. Sorry.
I'm judging you a little bit.
I would
fine.
too.
That's fine. Judge me. Alex, your answer?
So I don't like this song because of the music video, but I love the music video, so I would sit there and watch it without the music, if that gets me any closer to answering this question. The band is Of Monsters and Men, and the song is Little Talks. I love that music video, because it's like little like papercraft people and monsters, and these people are if you ever heard the song, you kind of understand a little better. But people are a sea, and it's basically about this big journey. And I love the look of the video of the people in it, and just I love the progression of it. So that'd be the one music video and the one song that I like the song on its own, but I also just appreciate the music video visually without the music to it.
All right, so my answer... See, because I like the song before I watch the video, because normally I listen to a song, and if I like the song enough, I go watch the music video. But I'm going to give 2 answers to this, because I gave a piss poor answer for the last one. I really like Popular Monster by Fallen in Reverse, and One by Metallica. All right, Yield, what was your answer there?
So mine was, so in response to Rick asking what song did we like to listen to, never got old, I got to thinking about this. So, I think it was Fatboy Slim. Why am I drawing a blank?
Praise You?
No, the one with Christopher Walken in it.
I'm looking up Fatboy Slim songs right now.
It's not Weapons of Destruction.
Praise You.
I already said that, Tricky.
Weapon of Choice.
Weapons of Choice. Thank you. That one. If it hadn't have been for that music video and Christopher Walken in it and going, oh, that's pretty cool, I don't think I would have liked the song. And the other one, although it is a catchy song, the video helped make it even better, was Jamiroquai's Virtual Insanity.
Yeah, all right. And just to give credit, Matt G said that in the chat. That's why I said it. So Matt G is the one who came up with a Weapon of Choice.
Thank you, Matt G. I had it the other day, and then my mind locked up.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Rick just wanted to know if we were recording earlier. I said no, normal time. All right, so that's it for our listener questions. Back to our topics of the week. I'm going to skip down because I want to talk about this one, because I said this might change your opinions on a previous topic. Coming from techforgamers.com and written by, Shahir Zahid, ShaheerZahid. I think I pronounced that right. Sony has released PlayStation financial results for the fiscal year Q4, which contain intriguing details. These results focus mainly on the sales, but also reveal vital information about future expectations. According to the document, Sony expects a decrease in sales for their first-party titles this year. This could be attributed to Sony not having many first-party titles planned for 23, with Marvel Spider-Man 2 and The Last of Us Multiplayer both being the only major first-party games that's still expected to release this year. Sony previously released multiple high-profile titles like God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and Gran Turismo 7 in 22. The gaming giant could, however, launch various live service free-to-play multiplayer games this year. Previously, job listings also suggested that Last of Us multiplayer game in development could take a free-to-play approach. As such, it makes sense that first-party game sales will be lower this year. A multiplayer Horizon game is also in development, although it's unknown when the game will be launched. Nevertheless, much of Sony's first-party slate for PS5 has remained a mystery. The gaming giant has previously revealed that Marvel's Wolverine from Insomniac Games still remains to be seen what developers like Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, and Sony Santa Monica are working on next. In addition, the documents also disclosed a 7% rise in hardware sales this year. But I bring this to you guys to say we were talking about Sony selling 25 million consoles, but there's also, an opinion out there coming from Tech for Gamers that we're going to get less first-party games this year, which could, as you guys pointed out, normally drive sales in the hardware, but now we're talking about maybe we're not going to get as many first-party games. Alex, we'll throw the floor to you.
Yeah, but it's not like, and I can't remember who said it, I think it was Tross, but it's not just the first-party games, it's also like your Final Fantasy 16s. So, and they do have a back catalog now of PlayStation 5 games you can play that if you haven't picked up a PS5, you may not have played. Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart is a game that you can only play on the PlayStation 5. So there are games, a back catalog now, and I guess people, when they invest in, when I invested in the PlayStation 5, it wasn't just what I could play on the console then. It was the hope of the future and what Sony could produce. So I think that we understand, we have a good idea of where the studios are going, what the studios have in hand. We know that, Guerrilla is probably making another Horizon game. We know that Sucker Punch is probably working on Ghost of Tsushima too. So, we have an idea, even if they've not been announced, of where things are going. And we know that Naughty Dog is a stellar studio, so whatever they do next is probably going to be damn good. So, it's not just what is available now, what's coming this year, it's the hope of the future. And being able to play downloadable games. And you're just making your console the best place to play games. And I think in the home console market, you can call me a Sony pony, but I think the best place to play games is on PlayStation. Regardless of Microsoft Game Pass and all that. Microsoft's first-party studios can't match Sony at all. They can't match Nintendo. So I think, to me, it's just making sure that your console is the best place to play. And I still think that's Sony and the PlayStation 5. So I still think they can reach massive numbers in 1 year, and as long, provided there is supply, but, they've got more than enough first-party studios, working on, some of them working on multiplayer stuff, Haven, Firewalk that we haven't seen. So I think it's just people buy the console on the hope and the belief in Sony that their plan going forward and in the future for the next 10 years is going to be make the PlayStation 5 an exciting console to play on.
Yield, your thoughts?
Not pushing out any first-party games, that'll hurt sales. I'm not saying this as in general, I'm saying this as my opinion. You can pump out all the Last of Us multiplayers and Horizon multiplayers you want, and you're not going to get me to buy them this year.
Well, to be fair, I don't want to cut you off, but that's because you're not a multiplayer guy.
No, I'm not. And that's why I said that's my opinion, not...
Right.
And it's a personal opinion, not a general opinion. But Alex is right. You've got plenty of a back catalog that, you'll sales will still be there. I'm just shocked or surprised, really, that Sony has this gap in their launch window that there's really no first-party games coming out this year.
All right, Tross?
I mean, yeah, it's going to hurt sales. But, again, I think this year, with Final Fantasy coming out, that's huge. That's a huge market for some people. And honestly, I'm just going to throw it out there. I think Marvel Spider-Man 2 can definitely sell a lot of units. Especially for how good Spider-Man PS4 was and Miles Morales. I think when that game comes out, I know people who are waiting to get the PS5 just because of that game. And it's only going to be on PS5. It's not a PS4 game. So it's going to force people, and I hate using that word, it's going to force people to buy a PS5 in order to play that game. And some people are going to. So is it going to be hurtful this year as in other years? Of course, because they only have one more first-party game coming out. But like what Alex said, it's the future. Like, you got Wolverine coming up. You got Santa Monica's probably making a God of War game and cooking up there. You got Horizon being cooked. You're getting, I mean, maybe a Ghost of Tsushima in the future. Like, I mean, it's looking bright for the future.
All right. Let's move on to our other topic of the week. Because this kind of ties in here a little bit. This is coming from Kotaku.com. Written by Zach. I gotta learn how to pronounce these names. Zwiesen. Zwiezen. In an interview published Monday, PlayStation Shuhei Yoshida, I almost pronounced his name wrong, talked about how difficult and expensive it is to make video games, explaining that the company behind hits like God of War and The Last of Us cancels, quote, so many games, end quote, in order to, quote, save developers, end quote, from getting stuck on something. From 2008 to 2019, Yoshida was the president of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He stepped down from that role in 2019 amid a company reshuffle where Herman Hulst took over as president. While he might not be running the ship anymore, he's still involved with video game development at Sony and its studios. As part of the process, Yoshida says a lot of game projects get canned before seeing the light of day. He recently told The Guardian that while PlayStation, quote, embraces new ideas, end quote, many of them fail. That's just part of the job. And in order to see what works and what doesn't, he explained that the company does a lot of testing and prototyping. Quote, we do a prototype, we evaluate, we decide whether to spend more time and resources, or we just stop. We cancel so many games. End quote. While this might not sound harsh or cruel, Yoshida says he has to convince studios and developers to move or stop in order to save these devs from getting stuck on projects or games that are just not working out. And this might be my last quote. We tend to work with people who have very strong ideas. We love these people, so trying to change or stop their project is so hard. It's all about the talent in the industry. I've tried to help them as much as I could, end quote. Yield, we'll start with you.
Okay. Where do you want me to go?
What do you think about what Yoshida saying that, so many games have been canceled before we even know about them? I mean,
it makes sense. I mean, that's all I really have to say about it. I mean, it.
Okay. Tross, what about your thoughts?
To me, he sounds like a good boss. Because, like, think about it. I mean, yeah, it's a giant think tank. People are probably throwing all these ideas. They're like, oh, yeah. When people have an idea, they get so passionate about it. He's just, he's just trying to make sure that they don't go so far ahead, so that way they don't get stuck on an idea. It doesn't work out, and then, I don't want to say, like, their feelings get hurt, but I'm trying to, like, they think something's going to do so well, then all of a sudden it doesn't. So, to me, it sounds like he's just trying to be a good boss and just trying to say, like, hey, don't get stuck on this idea because it's just not working. It's okay, So I think he's just doing what a business guy's doing. He's just doing his job, really.
All right. Alex?
So I'm going to pose a question to you all. When was the last time Sony announced a game, and it was a big-time release, and it was a AAA game, or any game, really, that they announced and came to light, and they canned it?
That Sony did? I can't remember.
Yeah, me neither.
So, I mean, I can believe they cancel a bunch of games because people, throw a bunch of ideas against the wall. It's like, okay, we'll see how it works, and it doesn't work out, we'll just decide to stop putting money into it. But Sony's really good about once a game is announced and you hear about it and you see a trailer for it and all that, that game comes out. Where, Nintendo also, they don't really cancel games. Then there's also, look at Microsoft, and there's one particular game I can remember. I know they've done it for more than one, but Scalebound. Do you guys remember Scalebound?
Yeah, that was going to be such a sweet game.
It was a game that involved dragons. It was on the Xbox One. Tross was the one?
I think it was the one. It was going to be so good.
But it was a game, a big budget game that just got killed off after a while. And so, Microsoft, I'm not saying they cancel a bunch of games, but there are some that slip through the cracks, and they eventually say that, okay, well, we can't do this because this project isn't going to work out. But Sony, on the other hand, is very good at not doing that. So I can believe that, yeah, they get a bunch of ideas, and then all of a sudden they get to a point where it's like, okay, well, we got to, shit or get off the pot. We have to move forward with this, or we have to cancel it. So it seems like whatever system Sony has in place, or the leadership they have in place, does a really good job with that, because as many people as they have working for that company, for games to be announced and then never be canceled, that's incredible. When other companies are struggling to force a game out the door and justify it regardless of whether it's worthy or not, Sony doesn't do that. So, one, I can completely believe Shuhei's comments, but also I think that I want to just praise Sony because I can't remember the last time, like you all, they just put all this time and effort into a game and marketing and then didn't release it. Even the one game that I could think of that's had a lot of trouble was The Last Guardian, but that also did come out. A very tumultuous development cycle, but it did come out.
All right, before we go on to our last topic of the week, I just want to read one more paragraph because it leads into our other topic of the week. As pointed out by The Guardian, it has become harder and more expensive to make video games in 2023 compared to back in the 90s or early 2000s. In 2010, God of War 3, a AAA tier game from Sony, cost about $44 million to create. In 2022, the latest God of War entry, Ragnarok, cost about $200 million to make. So it's riskier than ever to take chances and cancel on projects. While painful for those involved, it often saves studios and publishers a lot of money and future pain. Give me a second while you guys talk about that so I can grab Harley because she's starting to whine.
Well, I think we see how much, you look at a game like Horizon Forbidden West and the amount of R&D that must have gone into making the game, the number of people it took, the actors and the voice talent, people like Ashley Birch who had to come in and do work. What was it? Lance Reddick. Was that his name? The actor who recently passed away who was Silence. Help me. Somebody help me.
The name of the actor?
Yes. Lance Reddick. Yes, I had it right. But all these actors they bring in to play these parts, and the work, the mocap work in Forbidden West, and the way that people move, like the people look more realistic than in most games. So the mocap work and everything, and building these believable characters is amazing. And so seeing all the work that's done in these games, and then you've got to realize how expensive they are to make, and that's why again, Sony kicked the price of their games up to $70, and it's why you see a lot of people also jumping on that bandwagon. It just costs more to make games.
To be fair, everybody's raising their prices up to $70.
Well, I wasn't just calling out Sony, but even if it was just Sony, I understand because how many resources have to go into making their games. I'm willing to pay $70 for Horizon Forbidden West. Don't worry, Tricky, I have no issues with that. But yeah, you just look at their games, and it's like, holy shit, I totally get why this costs this much money to make. So.
All right, so moving on to our next topic of the week. On Wednesday, the UK Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, blocked Microsoft and Activision. Oh, you
son
merger.
of a bitch.
Hold on. Wait. To be fair, that's not what this topic is about. So don't turn off your podcast. We're not talking about the merger.
Well, Matt just left the chat room.
I promised we would not talk about this, and I'm not talking about that. I'm just reading from the article. In a massive report on the decision, the CMA revealed that major publishers report their AAA games can cost over $1 billion to make. According to the report, AAA games that are greenlit now with potential releases in 24 and 25 typically receive development budgets of $200 million or higher. Call of Duty has already surpassed $300 million in development costs alone, and the next Grand Theft Auto title will likely require a development budget of $250 million or more. When considering marketing costs, this number can jump over to $1 billion, with one large studio reporting that major franchise development costs $660 million and marketing costs nearly cost $550 million. These costs demonstrate a significant increase from 5 years ago, when most AAA games had budgets between $50 and $150 million. The CMA's ruling, citing a report by market intelligence group IDG, also revealed details about the increase in development demands for our new Call of Duty titles. Quote, "We have to make so much content for Call of Duty that we can't even lean on one lead studio anymore." End quote. Activision was quoted in saying in the post, quote, "Now we need almost 1.5 lead studios for each annual Call of Duty. That kind of bandwidth pressure is forcing us to use outsourcers more and more. I don't see that changing anytime soon." Now, before I throw it to you guys, I'm just going to say, if you guys can't develop with one studio for an annual Call of Duty release, stop fucking releasing Call of Duty every year.
Hold on there, dude. Do you remember how many studios helped with God of War, Ragnarok?
Tons.
8?
But that
8 total studios?
But that's the point of the matter is, if you're saying that you got to use sorry, I was licking my face. If you got to use 1.5 studios for an annual release of a game, and that's your argument, then stop releasing the game every year. I mean, listen,
and
I
miss
know
out on all that sweet moolah.
Listen, I know Call of Duty people out there. And I say this with love and respect. They're insane. They want their games every year. Same with the sports titles. I get it. But Assassin's Creed was coming out every year, and Ubisoft turned around and said, "You know what? We're not releasing these every year. We're going to do it every other year." And then it's been now, 2-3 years since the last Assassin's Creed came again?
But here's the thing. Do people buy a new Call of Duty because there's one out there? Because they know, because Activision because Activision know there's money to be made and they will release it? Or would people who play Call of Duty be fine playing one Call of Duty and multiplayer for a couple of years with support and buy the next release when it comes out in 2 years? I think it's more that Activision knows that people will buy it because it's there, rather than people bloodthirsty for another Call of Duty.
I think Warzone at this point, and I don't have any facts or articles to prove this,
of course,
but I would argue and say Warzone is probably making more money for them than these annual releases.
Okay, but here's the thing. With Madden, people don't want a new Madden every year. They just want updated rosters. That's what they want.
Right.
So they don't necessarily want a new game. They just want to have the rosters authentic to what they watch on TV. So I think you're putting too much onus on the gamers and not enough on the companies who know that people will buy them if the games are out there.
Tross, you were going to say something.
Oh, no, I agree with Alex. I think Activision knows that people will buy it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why they're doing it. But okay. Let me try to clarify my point here a little bit. Activision is 100% releasing these games every year because they know it will sell. And they're going to make their money. I got that. But if you're trying to make the argument, and I promise you I'm not going into it, if your argument to try to get this merger through is that it's costing you more money to develop these games, then I would simply say, then stop making annual releases. That's my only point. Don't turn around and say, "Oh, well, it's 1.5 of our studios, our lead studios, is having to work on this one game." That's not an argument to let the merger go through. That's my point. But let's get back off the merger and go back to just the general information that is saying it costs over $1 billion to make these games. So the question I'm posing to you guys is, if it's costing the developers and the publishers so much money to develop these games, is it getting out of hand? Like, is $1 billion? Because how many times, and Yield, I'll go to you first, how many times in the last couple of years have we talked about Square Enix saying, "Well, this game didn't match our sales expectations"? Well, that's because you spent $1 billion to make the game. Now, I'm exaggerating. I don't know if Square Enix actually spent that money. But if that's your argument, all right, Yield, I'll talk to you.
So, some of the problem with why, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a developer or any kind of a computer person in any way, shape, or form. So my hypothesis as to one of the reasons as to why games cost so much is because the more powerful system we put out there, the more that they can do, or the more that they have to do. to be able to make their game look good, a lot of the stuff in the back end and all that. So therefore, in essence, we are rising the cost of a game as we push the industry forward. So it's a necessary evil, I guess. But there are games that can be done that look absolutely amazing, and they don't have the big budget. And I will point to Ghost of a Tale right now. You know, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of combat and a ton of NPCs, but visually the game looks really good. Like it should be more of a 5 game than a 4 game. That's, in my opinion, that's how good it looks. So, I hope I answered your question.
All right, before we go to Alex and Tross, I'm styling on you, bro. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for popping into our Twitch. He says, 1 billion is too much. I've never seen a game worth $1 billion in development. I have to kind of agree. Tross, thought to you?
I mean, 1 billion's a little ridiculous, but I'll use Jedi Survivor as an example, right? I was playing it, and my wife walks downstairs, and she goes, "Are you watching a movie?" I mean, these games are, like, the cutscenes in Jedi Survivor are so well produced. Like, do you guys remember the, is it Knights of the Old Republic, those cutscenes?
Never played it.
Well, no, just like those little cutscenes or whatever, they're, like, really, really high produced. It looks like that. It looks so good. And also, we're getting, like, movie star-esque actors to become actors for our video games now. It's not just a guy, and they're modeling after these actors and the mocap they have to use. Like, the video games are becoming movies now. So I'm not shocked that they're becoming more expensive. But I don't think it's going to turn to 1 billion. That's insane. There's not even, I mean, Avatar, the new Avatar movie, barely went over. I didn't even think made $1 billion to even produce it. So it's like, and that was like the most stunning visually movie I've ever seen in my life. So I don't think it'll ever reach that high, but I'm not shocked that these games are expensive as they are due to the mocap and the graphics and the actors that they're hiring and things like that. So, well, there might be a little bit of rise, but 1 billion is way too much.
All right, Alex?
Well, yeah, and you also have to remember some of these teams are 600, 700 people, and you figure that you're paying their salaries and also hopefully benefits for them as well. So, you got to pay to keep the lights open or the lights on and everything like that. So, will game development get to, because what was it? People were shocked that when it came out that, what's it called? Forspoken cost $100 million to make. And people were like, what? How is that possible? Not this game. So, 1 billion does seem ridiculous, but, as we have to pay more for games, we got to remember that we have 4K and 8K TVs. The fidelity on things is going up, and we expect more out of our games. We expect, Yield, and his wife will sit down, while Yield's playing, his wife will sit down and watch sometimes because, some of those games unfold like a movie or a television show, and she can watch it without having playing it and also still, enjoy her time. So we expect stuff like that out of video games, whereas, back in the day, you played DuckTales on the NES, and fun game. I'm not shitting on it, like a great game, but it's not. We've gone to a point now where we expect video games to be a form of art on par with movies and, television shows. And with movies and television shows, it's easy because you can have real human beings in there, and they just got to stand there and you just got to pay them. With video games, you still have to pay those actors for their roles in the games, but they also have to they can't look uncanny valley. They have to look like real people, and we expect every year, or at least with every console release, for things to get better and more refined and more impressive. So yeah, at some point, are we going to hit 1 billion? I mean, like, I would like to see the numbers to make the biggest video games in all of video games, like a list of them, to see how close we are to that, or if we've eclipsed it yet. Just as, instead of one outlier, do we have like an average or a mean of multiple games going towards that? But, without that information, it's kind of hard to make that call. But yes, games are going to continue to get more expensive to make as they become more realistic, and as consumers, as we expect them to become more realistic. Will we sit down and play an 8-bit game or a 32-bit game on our PS5 because, it's retro or it's made by an indie studio? Absolutely. But when Sony and Microsoft are putting out, and CD Projekt Red and Ubisoft and all these companies, they're building these worlds, especially, with the amount of research that has to go to make an Assassin's Creed game so that the games historically look accurate, at least like in the layouts of the cities and the ancient world. When you consider how many people have to be on those tasks, it's a mind-boggling amount of money that, we think about games, and if they miss or if they don't hit their sales quotas, they sink entire studios. You look at what just happened at Luminous, the developer of Forspoken, spun off to do games, new games, and then Square Enix reeled them right back in after, Forspoken didn't do very well. So, yeah, lots of money.
And they merged them with another studio.
Yeah, lots of money tied up in games. So, how close are we to $1 billion? I don't know, but hundreds of millions. If you told me a game cost $500 million to make, I would completely believe you. I mean, how long did it take? How many studios were tied up in God of War Ragnarok? I've already said that, but how many years did it take it to get out? How many years has it taken to get Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom out? I mean, we're talking about games in development from anywhere between 2 and 5 years. And that cost a lot of money during that time, which is why when people, delay games and miss financial projections, that can be devastating because you've got so much money tied up in these projects and you expect them to be out the door, but instead of making money off that game being sold, you're now putting money back into development and paying everybody working on it. So I guess my point is, games are going to be expensive to fucking make, and you could probably tell me any figure and I would believe it.
Well, I mean, I know a couple of you guys have said it, but in the article it says, and it doesn't name the studio, but it says when considering marketing costs, the number can jump up to $1 billion, with one large studio reporting that a major franchise's development costs $660 million, and then the marketing costs cost $550 million. Obviously, that's over $1 billion.
Well, also they said franchise and not one game there, so we could be talking about the entire Horizon franchise, marketing and all that, costing $1 billion.
But I also think spending $550 million on marketing, that number seems a little outrageous as well.
But we also talk about, on this show, about how getting your game out there and showing people, like a AAA game deserves a AAA marketing budget because you need people to know, you got to have trailers, you got to bring people in to explain, state of plays, all this different stuff. Sure, cheaper than going to E3 and having large setups, but you have to have a powerhouse behind these games, and we complained about, and people complain about not knowing what games are coming next. Well, to get those games in front of you, they have to have those kind of campaigns. They have to buy primetime TV spots, which costs a lot of damn money. So we can't just say, oh, we don't know what's coming, but then also say, well, when you show us, you're spending too much money. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, but I would argue, say, like a game like Final Fantasy 16 doesn't need that much marketing, because if you're going to play Final Fantasy, you're gonna buy that game sight unseen.
But people have to know what's coming out. People have to know what's coming out. Yield, does your brother go and search all the news on video game sites every day, or does he wait for a big news like a TV commercial or something, or for someone to tell him that a game's coming out?
Probably more of the second rather than the first. I mean, there are things that he keeps track of, but I think it's more kind of word of mouth, or he was scouring the internet and something popped up. Oh, let me check this out.
Yeah. So for Final Fantasy,
we've all posted stuff on the site of, hey, check this out. I ran across this. So
in Final Fantasy 16, like if I remember correctly, when he decided to buy a PS5 is when he found out about
Yeah, but a buddy at work was like, hey, check out these exclusives for the 5, and that was one of them.
Yeah, and then, to get that information out, it takes marketing, or you've got to have, everybody who buys your console is going to have to be willing to dig for that information. Not everybody's going to do that, so you have to blast it out on TV, on the internet, on web, just wherever you can get it. And again, money. Tross, you got anything else you want to say before we move into shout-outs?
I mean, going off the marketing, it's huge. I agree with what you said. The Final Fantasy 16, yeah, that's a very popular franchise. But if you don't know it's coming out, no one's going to buy your game. I don't care what franchise it is. But yeah, that's basically it. I wouldn't be shocked. Honestly, I'm going to have this ad there. I wouldn't be shocked if we see another game hike, like a game cost hike for us. Like instead of being 70, it'll be 80. I wouldn't be shocked that's not going to be in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, that won't be until another generation. That's not going to happen this generation. But, yeah, it'll happen at some point.
All right, let's close out the show. Alex, I'll let you do your shout out first.
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire to this Trophy Whores, our tremendous community. Thank you all for continuing to push us forward into the next however many years we choose to do this. But show is nothing without you all, because we don't really want to do this and just talk to each other without having our community around us and bouncing ideas off us and talking to us and chatting with us. So thank you all for your continued support. Shout out to Tricky and to Yield for coming on tonight, especially Tricky, who I want to give a shout out also to our friend Tross for coming on 2 straight weeks, right? With Tross?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he's got a lot of work preparing for the baby. His wife are expecting a child, and that's a lot of work coming up. So thank you again, sir, for devoting your time to us and probably your free time when you could be playing games. Oh, question though. Did you guys ever get that nursery painted?
We did. Now we're going through baby showers now. We had one this weekend. Now it's just time to organize, get the clothes all set up, and set up the crib, and yeah, we're getting there.
All I gotta say is give me them presents. Well, give you all them gifts for, the baby. Save you all some money, hopefully, because raising babies is expensive.
Oh, we got so much. And we're so thankful. We're so thankful.
Glad to hear you all well taken care of. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, honey. We got some episodes of Succession to watch, but yeah, I love you, hun, and that's me. That's it. That's all I got.
Apparently, she was in a water relay race today.
Yeah, she and her youngest went to Gatlinburg. Not today, but the other day. They went to Gatlinburg for an 8th grade band trip, and one of the things they did, was at a relay race at one of the restaurants they went to. Like one of those restaurants that's also a show. I can't remember what exactly it was, but like they had horses,
medieval
buffalo.
Times.
It was in Gatlinburg, so.
Medieval times?
Not medieval times. It was in Gatlinburg. It was not medieval times, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
10-4. Yield your shout out, sir.
So, give a shout out to the Raiders of the Lost Trophy team. We're still hanging in there in the team challenge, so shout out to them. A shout out to Alex and Tricky for recording tonight. Shout out for Tross for coming and hanging out with us again. Shout out to all the Pimps and the Madams of the Whoredom for downloading, listening, hanging out with us, interacting with us on Facebook. Shout out to all of those who were hanging out in the Twitch chat. And shout out to those who made Ghost of Tale. It's a really good game. Go check it out. That's it. Oh, shout out to my nephew who had a birthday this past week.
Tross.
Shout out, of course, to the community for letting me hang out with you guys and give my opinions on certain things. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Tricky, Yield, and Alex, of course, for letting me being on. Having a good time. I enjoy it. And a shout out to my lovely wife for letting me do this. I know she's super tired. And shout out to my future baby. I'm super excited for him. And yeah, we're ready to go.
I left your picture in the Skype chat there, Tross. I'm going to buy that for you.
Let's see it.
That's going to be your baby present. Want to give a shout out to everybody listening. Thank you very much. Yeah, I love the little laugh. That totally derailed me. Sorry. The sign says, "May your coffee be stronger than your toddler."
That's great. My dad got me a onesie and it says, his onesie says, "I'm proof that my dad doesn't play video games all day."
That is going to be so true.
I love it.
Your division days are numbered, sir. You may not get to year 5.
We'll see. But probably not.
Sleep is overrated.
True, right?
Listen, I can tell you for a fact that when Sweet Mama D was a baby, she slept through the night, which was good. But when she was up, there was no video game playing to be had.
No, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm prepared for it.
It's all right, Tross. I'm sure Tricky will be playing the Division for the next 20 years.
There you go.
Listen, if they keep coming out with seasons, I'll keep playing. Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to Sweet Mama D. Shout out to the Goddess who just had a birthday. Shout out to everybody. Thank you very much. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
Hello and welcome back to another Trophy Rarity update. It's another little bit of a late post, much like the written write-up was. Apologies for that. Busy bank holiday weekend here in the UK and also feeling a little bit under the weather. So if my voice sounds a little bit stranger than usual, I am suffering from a sore throat, but we'll get into it. To summarise the week though, it's been a cracking week in terms of platinums. 13 platinums there was. We've had some high scores. I don't know whether it is. We've obviously just had the news about last week of the Activision deal potentially not happening. I don't know whether that has had anything to do with the likes of some of the staunchest of Xbox fans. We've had CJ scoring one of his best weeks of the competition this week. We've managed to get to real styling back in. He'd abandoned the PlayStation and he's now sort of posting top scores of the week and whatnot, and he's up to third or fourth now, I think it is. And we've got Kalai as well, another Xbox fan, posting scores 3 weeks running now on the PlayStation. So I don't know whether it's that has prompted them to come back to the PlayStation. It could be the fact that Redfall review has come out, and that seems disappointing by by a lot of people. I think would regard that as a bit of a failure, looking at the early impressions of it. But I think, to be fair, I might be giving Xbox a little bit of a bashing and be a bit unfair on them, because this actually should be credited, because there's not many companies out there that will be supporting games. I think they've bought this. Looking at the videos, I think they've bought this out for their 360, and there aren't many companies that will support games going that far back. So it's lovely to see that they've managed to bring that Redfall game out on the Xbox 360. But enough of that. We'll move on to the Rarity update. So we have very little change in terms of the last place, which is the bearded nerd Zach. He's not done anything this year. He's still obviously with the Xbox and PC, mainly Game Pass on the PC. Will we see a trophy out of him? I don't know. I think he's resisting. I think he wants to come across and do a bit, but he is resisting so far. But he's only on 2 points. We've then got Kalai, 3 weeks running now, is in the points. Still one game, but it's still PlayStation game, PlayStation Plus game. Slay the Spire. She had 7 points this week, taking her to 25 points. It was a rare trophy, 3 points worth, and it was Catalyst in Slay the Spire, which actually was also her rarest trophy of the competition. Then we had a big number. We hadn't seen much action from Darth Knight for quite a while now, probably well over a month. but he's just dropped more than doubled his score. He had 24 points previously. He's dropped 30 this week, taking him to 54. And we may see the score drop in time because looking at it, he's playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which obviously has only just been released. So we may see some of those trophies drop in the rarity value. But his rarest trophy was kitted out in, like I said, Jedi Survivor. We had then in next place, 22nd, we had a drop for Departed. Departed 570 had been in 21st for a long time. He suffered a -1 score this week, despite scoring trophies. He dropped down to 108 points. But, and again, a new game that is being played in Dead Island 2. He's been on that a couple of weeks now. But it wasn't a qualifying point scoring trophy. It was at 56.7% in Dead Island 2, Friends Like These. Then we had another personal best score for the competition so far. We had Tross, who was who joined the Trophy Whores on their latest podcast, but he had 48 points, taking him to 115 for the total. And again, like Darth Knight, his rarest trophy was also kitted out in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So we may see it, like I said, but the same with Darth Knight, we may see those drop slightly in time. Both of those actually were respective rarest trophies of the competition so far. So as we get on to the top 20, so staying in 20th place is the Brain 76. Riley is on 8 points this week, 149 in total, so just shy of that 150 mark. And it looks like he's started playing on the Sackboy Big Adventure, which was the PS Plus game that was given out last month, and he's got that for Walk-in Wardrobe. In 19th place, we have Jared. Stink Palm has stayed in 19th place. He had 30 points this week, which is a good effort from him based on his scoring recently. So that takes him to 200 points. And he been playing Diablo 2 now, Resurrected for a couple of weeks. And his rarest trophy, it was this week, was also his rarest of the competition, which was at 8.21%. So that was worth 5 points alone. So well done to Jared for getting to the 200 point mark. And he will have, no doubt, his eyes on Homer, who, after a few good weeks of having sort of acquired his PS5, managed to only score 2 points this week. Again, it's another Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Doesn't seem like he's as far in as the other two guys we've mentioned, given that he doesn't have that rarest trophy. That's the 6.18% one they do have. His rarest trophy is Cleaning Up, which is at 24.73%. He's 34 points ahead of Jared on 234. Tricky Mick overtook him on his quest for 5th place. So just another 12 places to go for him to get there. But he has advanced 1. So he's in 17th. Only 11 points ahead of Homer. Homer had pulled away from him in recent weeks, but 63 points back in 1 week is good going from Tricky. Again, though, will we see these scores drop? Probably, because his rarest trophies of the week and also of the competition have come in Horizon Zero Dawn, the Burning Shores DLC, which obviously has only been out a week, 10 days or so. Next, 16th place, JT. Got 20 points this week, which is a fair week for him. He fluctuates, as you would have noticed and seen. We've had him in negative points. We've had him with not scoring trophies some week, but he's obviously on it this week. He's laying off the steam. Well, he's probably doing both, actually, but he's had 20 points this week, doing a bit of Ape Escape, which obviously is available on PS Plus Premium for those of you that have the extra tiers. So his 20 points took him to 295, so 50 points ahead of Tricky. He'll be wanting to keep distance between him and the Garbage Man. 15th place, Sadak. 34 points this week. I noticed he is still in the team event on GTTSC. I think he's out. He is out definitely of the individuals, so he's still contributing for his team. 352 points he's on now combined. And again, I know he keeps having his rarest trophy of the week seems to be in Mortal Kombat 11, and that can be said the same for this week. Master of Time at 13.52%. 14th place, and we've seen the last couple of weeks have been really good from this person. MZ Nitro, he's had another 75 points this week, taking him to 430. His rarest trophy is also the rarest of his competition, which is in the Platinum Trophy. He hasn't, but he's got the Platinum now that he didn't have at the time of sort of recording this, the data for this. So his was Tournament Champion, which was for winning a 32-man tournament in Chess Ultra. Which is an ultra rare trophy, so well done to him. He's on to 430 points, and he's been contributing well in the GTTSC competition for his team and both individual. He obviously remains in both parts of that competition, so well done to MZ. Yeah, that 75 points has pulled him to within 15 points now of Joseph Priestley. Mr. TMNT had 20 points this week, taken him to 445. He's gone old school with his gaming and is cooking with plasma in Doom, the 1993 version. 43.08%, so obviously a not particularly rare one, but still worth having point scoring. Next up is Resident Daryl, stays in 12th place. He had 51 points, again a decent week from Daryl. That takes him to 493. He got a rare trophy, so 3 points was his rarest in Dangerous Golf, which is one of the easiest trophies that anybody will ever get, especially for 3 points worth, and that is for simply watching the credits in Dangerous Golf. It's called You Have Been Watching. Daryl again is still firmly in the GTTSC events, both the individual and team events. So well done to him, and those points are contributing to his scoring in that event as well. Not too far ahead of Daryl. We're only looking at 13 points. Is Diego. Diego has also gone retro, not as far back as 1993, but he has gone to PS3. He's been playing Binary Domain for quite a few weeks now, and he's again had his rarest trophy of the week in this game. In fact, again, there's another one who's had the rarest trophy of the competition this week, 1.54% Battle Master in that game. I also see that he's gone on to split second as well. A game that excuse me, a game that I keep meaning to play, and I have been meaning to play it for about 11 years or however long it's been out, but still haven't got around to it. But yeah, he's in 11th place. So we're moving on into the top 10. We've had another solid week from Dupes, 54 points, and if anyone saw the written write-up, you'll see that Dupes has his points have largely been contributed from going on a Final Fantasy binge where he's platinumed 3 Final Fantasy games inside a week. So fair play to Dupes for that achievement. It keeps him in 10th place on 542 points. So he's got a little bit of a lead. What was that? 36 points clear of Diego. So he's maintaining that. His rarest trophy was Master of 4, which is the platinum of Final Fantasy 4 at 24.87%. At 9 is Yield. Yield had a quieter week this week, only 11 points. Again, it's another GTTSC competitor. Still he never partook in the individual events, but he did register for the team. He's obviously in Team Raiders of the Lost Trophies, which is with MZ and Mies Ghosts a lot. And they're flying at the moment, so doing really well. But he's had 11 points this week, 20 ahead of Dupes at 562. And his rarest trophy was It's a Long Way to the Top in Guns, Gore and Cannoli, 13.59%. Next up is CJ. 51 points this week. It was really good points tally for him. He's 625 points. Marching up the table. Still, he's still a good. He's at that sort of stage where we've encountered some players in previous weeks where he's not immediately above anybody in terms of how close he is to the points. Do you know what I mean he's a good sort of 75 points clear, but he is a 90 odd points behind next place above him. But he had his rarest trophy was in the Burning Shores DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn at 12.51%. Next up in 7th and remaining 7th is Corey and the Grounded Gamer, 42 points this week, 717 overall. Rarest trophy was a very rare one, just missing out on the ultra rare by 0.69%, but it was still worth 5 points. It was in payoff in Atari Flashbacks Classics Volume 1 at 5.69%. He managed to pull 12 points back on 6th place Alex. So Alex has moved on, as you probably remember from previous updates. He'd been going for Resident Evil for about the last 3 weeks. He's moved. He may well still be playing Resident Evil, but he's also sort of gone on to other games as well. And his rarest trophy was a secret prize in an Untitled Goose Game, which presumably is the Platinum trophy in that one. So he's back onto point scoring on other games, so well done to him. He's still got a significant lead of about 175 points over Corey. So that's that top sort of six. The top 6 really have pulled away from the rest. But there's even more of a pull away further on up the table. Alex actually had dropped a position from 5th to 6th. And similarly, dropping from 4th to 5th is Redbeard Rick. Despite Rick scoring 110 points this week, which is one of his best weeks of the competition, he's on 974 points, so a good 91 points ahead of Alex. And he's also improved. He already held the second rarest trophy of the competition. He's still got the second rarest trophy, but he's actually improved on that rarity value. It's now Capcom Master, Reach Class 20, which is 0.56%. So really good from Rick on that, getting that trophy, given how rare it is. He's put himself in a good position to still be in sort of second place, and that'll take some beating if anybody wants that second place or even top place in the competition for rarest trophy. Rick going strong, dragged me and Daryl through this week, to be fair, on GTTSC as a team event, so thank you for that. Next up in 4th, leapfrogging, going up 2 places, leapfrogging both Alex and Rick, was Train Guy. So I'm styling on you, bro. 187 points again this week. There seems to be a fairly consistent flow of points of around that value. And he's, bear in mind that he had a late start to the competition by a number of weeks. He's flown up the table, has surpassed the 1,000 point barrier, is on 1,023. Looks like he's still got plenty of DLC left in the bank to do on these train games. But yeah, another ultra rare for him. Journey of a Lifetime in Train Sim World 2. So well done, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time, probably another week actually, before you overtake me in 3rd place, because I'm on 1,074 points, so only about 50 points ahead. I only had 24 points this week, which is one of my lowest, if in fact actually will be my lowest points tally of the competition. I had nowhere near anything in the vicinity of a rare trophy that would qualify for the top rarest of the week. It was 22.47%, which was Dance Revolution in B Simulator. So I need to start earning some of these rarer trophies again, not only just for this competition, but to get some points on the board for the GTTSC event. In second place, still in second place, but we had a drop of minus 28 points from Marky Fraser. He drops down to 1,213 points. His rarest trophy was Future of the Franchise in Madden 23, 15.22%. His drop has come largely from, I think he'd done the Burning Shores trophies last week. And they've obviously, I think it had increased his ultra rares by a significant value, but he has lost 9 ultra rares this week in terms of points they've dropped either from ultra rare to very rare, or even to rare, or even to uncommon in some cases. So hence the reason why he's got such a large negative figure this week. But finally, at top of the pile, at the best part of 770 points lead is Mies Goatslot. Congratulations to George. Fairly modest week by his standards, 65 points. His 2 nearest challengers, both 28, both me and Marky Fraser, had minus 28 and 24. So even then, they all sort of maintained ground, pulled further away from us. Even with that 65, which I say, even with that 65 is a good score. But obviously by George's standards, he's normally over 100 points each week. So his rarest trophy was an ultra rare in Minecraft Dungeons, which seems to be one of his go-to sources of rare trophies. So we'll see what happens. We need to find alternatives when that dries up, but he may well have enough in the bank already to sort of go, carry on for the win. So that's your leaderboard update. In terms of the top 5 rarest trophies of the week, starting in 5th place is we've got Mies Goatslot with back-to-back in Minecraft Dungeons. That's at 4.05%. These descriptions on the Minecraft Dungeons ones aren't half long, but this trophy was for completing 2 ancient hunts and 2 daily trials in 2-player co-op on the 2nd day of the month. So, yeah, you would need to work that out to get that one done. Nitro is next with a 4%, with the one I mentioned already, tournament champion in Chess Ultra, and that was for winning the 32-player tournament. In 3rd is Stylen for his Journey of a Lifetime, Train Sim World 2 at 2.75%, which actually is the Train Sim World 2 Platinum Trophy. At number 2 is Diego with Battlemaster in Binary Domain, at 1.54%, and that was for winning an online match with all rule sets. And the top rarest of the week is Rick with Capco Master, Reach Class 20, Capco Master, 0.56%. So well done to everybody who made it into the top 5 trophies a week. So very little change on the rarest trophies overall. The only change was Rick improving from 0.76 to 0.56 in second place. So we've got Mark Fraser in first place at 0.33% for his effort in Injustice Gods and Men. Rick is in second with what we've just mentioned in Capco Master. Alex is third in with Headrush Cartoon Battle Crashers at 1.06. I'm at 4 with You Got Cornered in Kickoff Revival, and that Yield is 5th with Pro Team in Deep Rock Galactic at 1.15%. As we move on to the weekly platinums, as I said, there are 13, so we will excuse me, go from most common to rarest as per usual. I come in with the most common platinum. The reason I did this was to earn trophies for the GTTSC event. One of the requirements to earn the bonus for the week was to earn trophies in a platformer. I think it was 20 trophies. And one of the platformers I did was a cheap game called Robbie's Adventure, which isn't great, but it's certainly not a hold X button down to get the platinum. There is a bit of effort required for that. But that was at 80.64%. The next most common was Redbeard Rick with his Sonic Origins Platinum, and that was at 50.41%. CJ is next. I'm sure we read this one out last week as well, but I think he's done it on the PS4 this time, where it was PS4 last time. Is Grimoire once more at 48.62%. I don't know whether that's an auto pop or whether he's actually played it again or not. I'm not sure. Next after that is we've got a couple from Dupes. He had Final Fantasy 2 at 42.77% and Final Fantasy 3 at 40% exactly. Next, we have Daryl with his effort in Hot Shots Golf 2, or Everybody's Golf 2, if you're in the UK or EU, 35.10%. He also actually got that at 32.53%. He got it on the other version, so PS5 and PS4 versions. He did both of them at that point. So that one was 32.53. I was in at 32.56 with my second platinum, which was in Nickelodeon Kart Racers. 27.60 was Alex with his Untitled Goose Game platinum. So well done to Alex on that. Then we had Dupes again with Final Fantasy 4, and that was at 24.87%. And then we come down to the final three. We have Miscoat Salot, 18.63 with Lego Marvel Superheroes. We have Redbeard Rick with his second platinum of the week, which was in Skyrim. So that's obviously a long one, but it's a game that Rick loves and has played it on multiple systems multiple times, but that's at 14.56%. And as we said, the rarest trophy of the week, rarest platinum of the week was also Stylin's rarest trophy of the week and also of the competition, which was the platinum in Train Sim Mod 2 at 2.75%. So that's your update. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading the written update for those of you that are in the Facebook Trophy Looting group. So I'll leave it here as my voice is starting to struggle a little bit, as you might be able to tell. And yeah, stay tuned for another update next week. Cheers. 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 Cheers.